In a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields, there lived a small donkey named Benny. Benny wasn't just any donkey. He had the kindest eyes that sparkled with curiosity and a soft, velvety coat that shimmered under the warm sun. Despite his gentle nature, Benny led a simple life, often overlooked by the bustling villagers who were too busy with their daily chores to notice the little donkey's endearing charm. Benny spent his days working tirelessly for his owner, a gruff old man named Mr. Thompson. From dawn until dusk, Benny would haul heavy loads of firewood, water, and crops across the village. Though his body was small and his legs were short, Benny's heart was full of determination. He never complained, always greeting each day with a resilient spirit and a hopeful heart. The village was a place of stories and legends, where whispers of magic and adventure floated on the breeze. Benny, too, dreamed of such tales, imagining a world where he could roam free, bask in the sunshine, and feel the wind rush through his mane. Yet, for now, his world was confined to the dusty roads and worn paths of the village, where every step was a testament to his unwavering endurance. As the sun set each evening, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Benny would find a quiet corner in the stable to rest his tired body. With a soft sigh, he would close his eyes, dreaming of a life filled with kindness, joy, and perhaps a bit of adventure. Little did Benny know that his life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. The journey ahead would test his strength, challenge his spirit, and ultimately lead him to a place where dreams do come true. Benny's days were often long and grueling. Mr. Thompson, though not unkind, was indifferent to Benny's struggles. The old man saw the donkey merely as a tool, a means to an end. Each morning, Benny was loaded with more weight than his small frame should have carried. Firewood stacked high on his back, barrels of water swaying precariously, and heavy sacks of crops pressed down on him as he trudged along the village paths. The villagers, busy with their own lives, rarely noticed Benny's plight. Children played nearby, merchants bartered loudly, and farmers tended to their fields, all while Benny quietly carried on. His hooves, though small and worn, never faltered. With each step, he felt the strain in his muscles, the ache in his bones, yet he pushed forward with unwavering determination. Benny's spirit remained strong, but his body bore the signs of his hard labor. His once shiny coat grew dull and patchy, and his eyes, though still kind, often reflected exhaustion. On particularly tough days, Benny would pause for a moment, lifting his head to gaze at the distant hills, imagining the freedom that lay beyond. He dreamed of a place where he could run without burdens, where the grass was lush and the air was sweet. Despite the weight he carried, Benny never lost hope. There was a quiet strength within him, a resilience that refused to be extinguished. He found solace in the small acts of kindness from strangers, a gentle pat on the head from a passing villager, a handful of fresh hay from a sympathetic farmer. These moments, though fleeting, reminded Benny that there was still goodness in the world. Every night, as Benny lay down to rest, he would replay the day's events in his mind. He knew his life was hard, but he also believed that one day things would change. Benny held on to the hope that somewhere, somehow, there was a better life waiting for him. And so, with each new dawn, he rose again, ready to face whatever challenges came his way, his heart full of quiet courage and steadfast perseverance. One fateful day, Benny's world was turned upside down. It began like any other, with the early morning sun casting a soft glow over the village. Benny was loaded with an especially heavy burden of firewood and set off on his usual route. The path was long, winding through dense forests and up steep hills, each step more challenging than the last. As the day wore on, Benny's legs began to tremble under the immense weight. Mr. Thompson, impatient and irritated, walked ahead, muttering to himself. Benny tried his best to keep up, but his strength was waning. His small body, already worn from years of hard labor, could barely manage the load. Suddenly, Benny stumbled, the weight of the firewood sending him crashing to the ground. The heavy logs tumbled off his back, scattering across the path. Mr. Thompson, furious and frustrated, turned to see the exhausted donkey struggling to stand. In a fit of anger, he shouted at Benny, calling him useless and weak. Without a second thought, Mr. Thompson made a heartless decision. He would leave Benny there, abandoned and alone. Benny watched in disbelief as Mr. Thompson walked away, his figure growing smaller in the distance until he disappeared altogether. Panic set in as Benny realized he was truly alone. The once familiar path now seemed endless and foreboding. The dense forest closed in around him, and the sounds of nature, once comforting, now felt ominous and strange. For the first time in his life, Benny was completely on his own. The weight of abandonment crushed his spirit more than any load he had ever carried. He struggled to his feet, every muscle in his body aching, and took a few hesitant steps forward. But without direction or purpose, he soon stopped, lowering his head in despair. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the forest. Benny stood there, lost and defeated as the darkness enveloped him. His once hopeful heart now felt heavy with sadness, and the dreams of freedom and kindness seemed like distant fantasies. Alone in the night, Benny brayed softly, a mournful sound that echoed through the trees, a plea for help that seemed destined to go unanswered. As the cold night descended, Benny felt a deep sense of despair settle over him. The forest, once filled with the sounds of life, now seemed eerily silent. Benny's breath formed small clouds in the chilly air, and his small body shivered from the cold and exhaustion. His mind raced with worry, unable to comprehend why he had been left behind. Benny wandered aimlessly through the dark, each step a struggle. The forest floor was uneven and treacherous, and Benny's hooves slipped on the damp leaves and twigs. He tried to find shelter, a place where he could rest and gather his strength, but every corner of the forest felt unfamiliar and unwelcoming. As the hours dragged on, Benny's hope began to fade. He felt utterly abandoned, and the weight of his loneliness pressed down on him like the heavy loads he used to carry. His eyes, usually so full of kindness and curiosity, now reflected only fear and sadness. He brayed softly, hoping against hope that someone would hear his call and come to his aid. But the forest remained silent, offering no comfort or solace. With his energy nearly depleted, Benny finally found a small clearing and collapsed onto the ground. The stars above twinkled brightly, indifferent to his plight. Benny gazed up at them, his vision blurred by tears. In that moment, he felt utterly insignificant. Just a small donkey lost in a vast, uncaring world. The night seemed endless, and Benny's thoughts grew darker with each passing moment. He wondered if he would ever find his way out of the forest, if he would ever feel the warmth of the sun on his back again, or the gentle touch of a kind hand. The dreams of freedom and adventure that had once sustained him now felt like cruel illusions. Benny's spirit, once so strong and resilient, was now on the brink of breaking. He closed his eyes, his body trembling with fatigue and sorrow. In the depths of his despair, Benny felt a flicker of something within him. A faint, fragile spark of hope that refused to be extinguished. It was this tiny glimmer of hope that kept him going, even in the face of overwhelming hopelessness. Just as dawn began to break, casting a pale light over the forest, Benny lay on the cold ground, too weak to move. The soft rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds signaled the start of a new day, but Benny felt no comfort in these familiar sounds. He closed his eyes, his body aching and his spirit shattered. Then, through the fog of his exhaustion, Benny heard something else, the sound of footsteps approaching. They were light and careful, not the heavy hurried steps of Mr. Thompson. Benny's ears twitched and he opened his eyes, barely daring to hope. A kind-hearted traveler named Emma had been walking along the forest path, enjoying the tranquility of the morning. She had noticed the scattered firewood and sensed something was amiss. Following the trail, she stumbled upon Benny, lying helplessly in the clearing. Her heart ached at the sight of the poor donkey, his once shiny coat now dull and covered in dirt, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. Emma approached Benny slowly, speaking softly to him. "Hey there, little one," she said gently, kneeling beside him. "What happened to you?" Benny, though wary, could sense the kindness in her voice. He looked up at her, his eyes pleading for help. Without hesitation, Emma decided to take Benny under her care. She fetched water from her canteen and offered it to him. Benny drank gratefully, feeling a small surge of strength returning to his tired body. Emma then began to gather some of the scattered firewood, creating a makeshift shelter to protect Benny from the elements. As the morning sun rose higher, Emma continued to care for Benny, talking to him in soothing tones and offering him food from her pack. Benny, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time, began to relax. He sensed that this kind traveler was different. She saw him not as a burden, but as a being deserving of compassion and care. Emma knew that Benny needed more than just immediate care. He needed a safe place to recover and heal. She decided to take him back to her cottage on the edge of the village. With gentle coaxing and a promise of a better life, she helped Benny to his feet. Though still weak, Benny felt a renewed sense of hope. With Emma by his side, he took his first steps towards a new beginning. Together, they left the forest behind, the path ahead filled with the promise of healing and a brighter future. Benny's journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, he felt that he was not alone. With Emma's kindness and support, Benny's story was about to take a turn towards hope and recovery. The journey to Emma's cottage was slow, but Benny's heart felt lighter with each step. Emma spoke to him gently, encouraging him and reassuring him that he was safe now. The path wound through beautiful meadows and along bubbling streams, a stark contrast to the dark forest where Benny had been abandoned. When they finally reached Emma's cottage, it was a cozy, charming place with a small barn and a lush green pasture. The air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers, and birds sang cheerfully from the trees. Emma led Benny to the barn, where she had already prepared a soft bed of hay for him. "This is your new home, Benny," Emma said softly. "You'll never be alone again." Benny settled into the hay, feeling a comfort he hadn't known in a long time. Emma brought fresh water and delicious, nourishing food. Each day, she tended to him with the utmost care, cleaning his coat, checking his hooves, and making sure he was comfortable. Benny felt his strength slowly returning, and with it, his spirit began to heal as well. Emma spent time with Benny, talking to him and keeping him company. She often brought him treats, apples, carrots, and the sweetest clover she could find. Benny's eyes, once dull and filled with sadness, began to sparkle again. He grew stronger, his coat regained its shine, and his steps became more sure and confident. Emma also introduced Benny to her other animals, a friendly goat named Rosie and a playful dog named Max. Benny was hesitant at first, but Rosie and Max welcomed him warmly. They played together in the pasture, and Benny felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. The barn was filled with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the lonely nights Benny had endured. One sunny afternoon, Emma took Benny to the edge of the pasture, where a small stream flowed gently. "This is where you can come to relax and enjoy yourself," she told him. Benny dipped his hooves in the cool water, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. As the days turned into weeks, Benny's recovery continued. He grew stronger and more confident, and his bond with Emma deepened. He felt a gratitude he couldn't express in words, but showed through his gentle nuzzles and the joy in his eyes. Emma had given him not just a home, but a new lease on life. Benny's heart swelled with happiness as he realized that his days of suffering were behind him. He had found a place where he was loved and cared for, and where he could finally be himself. With Emma's unwavering kindness and the support of his new friends, Benny's journey of healing and recovery was well underway, and his future looked brighter than ever. With each passing day, Benny's life continued to improve. He had found a rhythm in his new home with Emma. The once timid and broken donkey now moved with a newfound sense of purpose and joy. Emma, seeing Benny's progress, decided it was time to introduce him to new activities that would further enrich his life. One sunny morning, Emma led Benny to a nearby meadow where a small group of children were playing. "These are my friends from the village," she explained. "They've been eager to meet you." The children, eyes wide with curiosity and excitement, approached Benny with gentle hands and kind smiles. Benny, a little nervous at first, soon felt their warmth and kindness. They stroked his soft coat, fed him treats, and marveled at how strong and beautiful he had become. Benny found immense joy in these visits. The children's laughter and affection brought a new light into his life. He became a beloved part of their playtime, often giving them gentle rides around the meadow. His patience and gentle nature made him a favorite among the children, who looked forward to their time with him every week. As the seasons changed, so did Benny's responsibilities. Emma began to teach him new tasks, like carrying light loads of freshly picked vegetables from the garden, or helping to pull a small cart filled with flowers to the village market. Benny took pride in his work, no longer burdened by the oppressive loads of his past, but rather contributing in a meaningful way to his new family's livelihood. Emma also enrolled Benny in a local animal therapy program. The program paired gentle animals with people who needed comfort and companionship. Benny's calm demeanor and gentle spirit made him perfect for this role. He brought smiles to the faces of the elderly in the village and helped calm the anxieties of children facing difficult times. Benny's own heart swelled with joy each time he saw the happiness he brought to others. Life at the cottage continued to be filled with love and joy. Emma, Rosie, and Max were always by Benny's side, creating a warm and supportive environment. Together, they explored the rolling hills, played in the sun-dappled fields, and shared quiet moments under the stars. Benny's dreams had finally come true, and his days of hardship were now distant memories. Benny had not only found a new beginning, but had also discovered his purpose. His journey from despair to hope, from abandonment to belonging, was a testament to the power of kindness and love. With Emma's unwavering support, Benny had transformed his life, proving that even the smallest, most humble creature could find happiness and fulfillment. As Benny looked out over the peaceful meadow, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. His life was now a tapestry of new beginnings, each day an opportunity to spread joy and compassion. Benny knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the strength and resilience that had carried him through his darkest days. With each new day, Benny's confidence grew. He had found a sense of belonging and purpose that transformed him into a stronger, more resilient donkey. The days of hardship seemed like a distant memory, replaced by the warmth and love of his new family and friends. Benny's newfound strength wasn't just physical, it was a deep inner resilience that radiated through every fiber of his being. One crisp autumn morning, Emma decided it was time for a new adventure. She led Benny to a hill that overlooked their village. The climb was steep, but Benny faced it with determination. As they ascended, the view grew more breathtaking, the village unfolding below them like a beautiful tapestry. Benny's muscles strained, but he felt a powerful surge of energy and purpose. At the top of the hill, Emma paused and turned to Benny, her eyes filled with pride. "Look at how far you've come, Benny," she said softly. Benny gazed out at the panorama, the village, the fields, the forests, and the stream that had once seemed so daunting. He felt an overwhelming sense of achievement. He had not only survived, but had thrived, finding strength he never knew he possessed. Emma had also organized a community event to celebrate Benny's recovery and new life. Villagers gathered in the meadow, bringing food, music, and laughter. Benny was the guest of honor, and he stood proudly beside Emma, his coat gleaming in the afternoon sun. Children ran up to him, their faces alight with joy, while the elders patted his head, sharing words of praise and admiration. During the celebration, Benny was introduced to a special guest, Dr. Roberts, a veterinarian who had heard about Benny's remarkable journey. Dr. Roberts examined Benny and marveled at his transformation. "You're a miracle, Benny," he said, smiling. "You've shown everyone what it means to be truly resilient." Benny's rediscovered strength wasn't just for himself. It became a beacon of hope for others. He began participating in local events, from school fairs to charity runs, where his story was shared to inspire those facing their own struggles. Benny's presence brought comfort to those in need, and his gentle spirit touched the hearts of many. Emma also noticed that Benny had a unique ability to sense when someone was in distress. Whether it was a child feeling anxious or an adult overwhelmed by life's challenges, Benny would gently approach them, his calming presence providing an unspoken reassurance. His ability to connect with people on such a deep level became one of his most cherished qualities. As the years went by, Benny's strength and resilience continued to shine. He had become an integral part of the community, a symbol of hope and perseverance. His journey from abandonment to empowerment had not only changed his life, but had also touched the lives of everyone who knew him. Benny's story was a testament to the power of kindness, love, and the unwavering strength of the spirit. He had rediscovered his strength, not just through physical recovery, but through the connections he made and the joy he spread. Benny's journey was far from over, but he faced each new day with the knowledge that he could overcome any obstacle, supported by the love and care of his friends and family. Benny's heart was filled with gratitude for the kindness and support he had received. He felt a deep desire to give back to the community that had embraced him. With Emma's encouragement, Benny began to find ways to help others, just as he had been helped. One day, while walking through the village with Emma, Benny noticed a small, scruffy dog cowering near a market stall. The dog looked frightened and malnourished, much like Benny had once been. Emma saw Benny's concern and approached the dog gently. They learned that the dog, named Rusty, had been abandoned and was struggling to survive. With Emma's help, Benny brought Rusty back to their cottage. Benny's experience with hardship allowed him to understand Rusty's fear and anxiety. He stayed close to Rusty, offering him companionship and comfort. Over time, Rusty began to trust Benny and Emma, and he transformed into a lively, happy dog. Benny's kindness had given Rusty a second chance at life, mirroring his own journey. Inspired by this success, Benny and Emma decided to do more. They opened their barn and pasture to other animals in need. Soon, their home became a sanctuary for animals who had been abandoned or mistreated. Benny took on a mentoring role, guiding new arrivals and helping them adjust to their new environment. His gentle nature and personal experience made him an excellent caregiver. The villagers noticed Benny's efforts and began to support the sanctuary. Donations of food, blankets, and medical supplies poured in, and volunteers came to help care for the animals. Benny's story had touched their hearts, and they wanted to be part of his mission to spread kindness and compassion. One particularly cold winter, the sanctuary received a call about a group of animals stranded on a remote farm. Benny, Emma, and a team of volunteers set out to rescue them. Despite the harsh conditions, Benny's determination never wavered. He led the way, his strength and resilience shining through. The rescue was successful, and the animals were brought to safety, where they received the care and love they desperately needed. Benny's efforts extended beyond the sanctuary. He became a regular visitor at local schools, where he helped teach children about empathy and kindness towards animals. His story was shared in classrooms, inspiring the next generation to be compassionate and caring. Benny's gentle presence had a profound impact on the children, who learned that every creature deserved love and respect. As Benny's sanctuary grew, so did his reputation. People from neighboring villages came to hear his story and witness the incredible work being done at the sanctuary. Benny had become a symbol of hope and resilience, proving that even the smallest but most vulnerable beings could make a significant difference in the world. Benny's journey had come full circle. He had gone from being an abandoned, hopeless donkey to a beacon of light and kindness in his community. His efforts to give back not only transformed the lives of countless animals, but also brought his village closer together, united by a shared sense of compassion and purpose. Through his actions, Benny showed that no matter how dark the past may have been, there was always a way to turn it into something beautiful and meaningful. His legacy of giving back would continue to inspire and uplift others for generations to come. As the years passed, Benny's sanctuary became a thriving haven for animals in need. The once small barn had grown into a spacious, welcoming refuge filled with the sounds of contented animals and the laughter of volunteers. Benny, now a symbol of hope and resilience, continued to lead by example, showing every newcomer that there was always a path to healing and happiness. One bright spring morning, Emma gathered the villagers and volunteers for a special celebration. It was a day to honor Benny and the incredible impact he had made on their community. The meadow was adorned with flowers, and a festive spirit filled the air. Benny stood proudly at the center, surrounded by those whose lives he had touched. Emma stepped forward, her eyes shining with pride and love. Today, we celebrate Benny, a true hero who has shown us the power of kindness and resilience. His journey from despair to hope has inspired us all. Benny has taught us that no matter how difficult our past, we can always find a way to a brighter future. The villagers cheered, and Benny felt a swell of gratitude. He looked around at the faces of friends, both human and animal, who had become his family. The children who once rode on his back were now young adults, volunteering at the sanctuary and continuing his legacy of compassion. Benny's eyes met Emma's, and he nuzzled her affectionately. He knew that without her kindness and unwavering support, his story might have ended in despair. Instead, it had become a testament to the transformative power of love and care. The celebration continued with music, food, and stories. People shared their favorite memories of Benny, recalling the moments he had brought joy and comfort to their lives. Rusty, now a lively and healthy dog, bounded around, playing with the children and reminding everyone of Benny's first act of giving back. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, Emma gathered everyone for a final toast. "To Benny," she said, raising her glass, "for showing us that even in the darkest times, there is always hope, for teaching us that kindness can heal the deepest wounds, and for reminding us that we all have the strength to make a difference." Benny brayed softly, his heart full of happiness and contentment. He had come a long way from the frightened, abandoned donkey he once was. His journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also been rich with love, friendship, and purpose. The moral of Benny's story was clear. No matter how tough life gets, there is always a chance for a new beginning. With kindness, perseverance, and the support of those who care, we can overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Benny's life was a shining example of this truth, a beacon of hope for all who heard his tale. As the stars appeared in the twilight sky, Benny looked around at his sanctuary, his home, and the family he had found. He knew that his journey had not only changed his life, but had also created a ripple of compassion and kindness that would continue to spread far and wide. Benny's legacy was one of hope, resilience, and the unyielding power of a kind heart. To stay updated with all the channel's content and not miss any videos, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, like, share with your friends, and comment below what you learned from the previous lesson in the video. May God be with you all, and see you next time. Bye.